So oppressive is her existence that she does not enjoy embroidery, and her fingers tremble. Her fingers tremble. And she is she leads a gloomy or a saddened existence. And the marriage ring on her finger constantly reminds her of this disastrous marriage. The marriage ring, or the wedding band, as the poetess calls, constantly reminds her of the oppression that has come in her life because of this marriage, which she must have looked forward to. In fact, it has been a disillusioned. It has brought disillusionment in her life. This particular stanza also has an allusion to indiscriminate killing of animals. In the earlier history, killing of wild animals. In the early history of the country that this particular piece of poetry represents. It says this particular allusion is to the killing of animals, and the lightweight needle that is made up of ivory is very difficult for her to push through the fine strands. In the last stanza, that is the third stanza, the poetess Adrian Rich talks of how when Aunt Jennifer dies, people would come to pay their last respects, and they would see signs of mental torture on Aunt Jennifer. And one particular prominent sign of mental torture on Aunt Jennifer would be the impression that her wedding band impression that her wedding band has left on her hands. This particular impression would remind people who come to pay their last respects to Aunt Jennifer of the mental torture that she was subject to at the hands of her husband. In the end, Adrian Rich tells us how Aunt Jennifer's tigers would leave Aunt Jennifer immortal, whereas Aunt Jennifer would have died. The tigers that she created would continue prancing about confidently in a self-assured manner. Now, it is important for all of us to understand at this particular point in time is that there is no reference or suggestion in the poem that gives us to understand that Aunt Jennifer was subject to physical torture. There is no reference here in this particular piece of poetry about the physical torture that Aunt Jennifer was subject to. If you wear a particular piece of ornament for a long period of time, it casts or leaves its impression on that particular body part. Similarly, so impression is left on that particular body parts. Just as if you hit somebody with a cane or with a very fine leather strap, it would cast a blue colored impression. that is actually called veal. Now the poetess, that is Adrian Rich, has established a comparison here. The physical torture which is suggested by the impression that is cast on her hands is comparable to the blue colored veal which a person registers if he or she is hit very hard by a leather strap. So important for all of us to understand that there is no suggestion, there is nothing in the poem which suggests that Aunt Jennifer was subject to physical torture. Now there are actually two allusions in this poem, in this piece of poetry, about the indiscriminate killing of animals in the first stanza and in the second stanza. In the first stanza, poet Adrian Rich talks of that her tigers do not fear the men standing beneath the tree. So it is understood to dodge. It can be understand. It could be understood in. It can very easily be understood in this manner, that in order to dodge the hunters, the animal would hide in the thick foliage of a tree, whereas the hunter would wait for it to descend down. Here the tigers have no fear. In the second stanza, she talks of, Adrian Rich that is, talks of veal. Alright. Sorry, she talks of ivory, which again is the product as of animal hunting, widespread animal hunting. Ivory is what the needle is supposed to be made up of in this